the Student Union right here at Kenyatta University, Miss Nis Mudhoni. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you.
We just want to take a look at whatever is happening in the campus. But before we actually start and you get to inform us about what to expect as students, let's just take a look at the reactions on social media in terms of the lecturer's strike that has crippled this country, in particular the public universities all over the country. So we'll take a look at that later on, but let's just get right into it. I've been informed they're on their way. Are there classes happening or not? Perhaps that is the best place we can start to answer the students who are watching right now, parents and also members of the public.
First and foremost, we are happy to be here.
Yeah.
It's always an honor, Rogers.
Yes.
So actually, I think it's best to affirm that indeed learning has started, it has kicked off, and that students are reporting every day. And I think right now, if any, we are already 75%, a third past a third. And I mean, yeah, so a big number is already trickling down and getting into classes.
So talking about
positive.
classes,
Yeah.
Despite the calls by the University Academic Staff Union officials led by Constantine Wasonga saying that the strike is still on, the lecturers should not go back to classes. Are the lecturers back to class in Kenyatta University as we speak?
Yes, I would like to confirm that indeed we have lecturers who have already resumed and they've come back. It's just a small group of lecturers who have not yet resumed. But in any case, we have the bigger percentage already, which is taking on the good work, that is having students continue with their learning. So I believe the feedback is positive because we just have a small group which has not come back. But indeed, we have a big group which is teaching right now.
We'll definitely get into the details of this small group or big group. Let's just take a look at some of the reactions on social media pertaining the lecturer strike that has crippled public institutions, or rather universities across the country for 68 days now. Let's just take a look at some of the reactions. Well, one tweet by perhaps a student saying, "So sad that comrades have been left all alone to focus on non-professional careers away from school. When shall we graduate to fix this mess in Kenya?" Well, moving on, a tweet by The Conversation Africa saying staff wages are a huge challenge facing Kenya's public universities, but they're not the only one. Dr. Shadrach says the lecturer's strike is it's now clocking 69 days of the lecturer's strike. Wasu and Kusu have vowed not to relent in pursuit of better pay for university workers through the implementation of the 2017 to 2021 CBA. Perhaps this will form talking points, but something that will capture our eye. This is the resumption of studies memo released by Kenyatta University, actually asking the students to come back to the institution as per yesterday. That was Monday, as classes were set to resume. And as we've just heard, most lecturers are already back to work. As we finish off, a tweet by Wasu through the official Twitter handle saying the WASU strike has no correlation whatsoever with students being in campus, attending lectures, or being recalled back to class, since universities' calendars were not altered by the strike. Therefore, students were expected to be in their respective classes for the 68 days and counting. Yes, perhaps those could form talking points in this small discussion we're set to have right now. We can see a couple of students who are actually complaining of the strike that has been elongated past 3 months now. Yeah. Is this something that should worry most union officials, as you know, as you represent students all over the country?
Yeah, I believe that is really worrying. 69 days is indeed not a joke.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind that we come to school for a very short time. So 4 years is really a short time to mess around with. This is already one semester which is gone. And that's why you find that the school really wants the studies to peak and to go on. Like we've seen from one of the tweets from I believe the WASU itself,
Yes,
they're
yes.
saying their mandate or rather objective is not to have students not in class. And I believe that is a message that should be communicated to all the WASU officials, or rather all those little groups that I was talking about, that we've seen them constantly coming to classes and asking students, or rather calling out the lecturers who are willingly taking through the lectures. So I believe that is a very long time, bearing in mind we have even international students, which is a very big concern.
Yes.
Like today we were having talks with the representatives of international students, and one of their cries was that indeed they're here for a very short time. Some of them, they're here even for sponsorship. They're here actually on the basis of sponsorship. So they're asking, even with that they have been given the little time, they don't even know if they're supposed to take a flight back, you know, or where is the stand as at now. But we are really happy that with the initiative of the school trying to actually have us go on with our studies.
Perhaps you can give us a little bit more information on the initiative taken by Kenyatta University, since this is a university in question right now, to actually make sure that lecturers are coming back to class. You've mentioned not all of them are back, but most of them, a substantial amount. What initiative did they do? Was there any intimidation, perhaps?
I believe not. I believe not. Because I believe personally, the fight to bring lecturers, or no, for the increment actually, for the government to hear the plea of lecturers, I believe it should be left for the union leaders to fight and battle it. But the lecturers, on the other hand, they should be carrying out their task. Because I believe union leaders, if you're indeed a union leader and you're strong, you can be able to push for your mandate or your responsibility, or no, for what you want. So I believe they should let the lobbying be on that side. So I believe for those lecturers, we've been able to have them. I think they've just looked at the reality aspect of it and really seen the amount of time which has been already wasted. And I believe they really sympathize with the students, and that's why they took it upon themselves to join the students and be with us at this time of need.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Speaking of students, now the push and pull between the government, which actually entered into this CBA through the IPUCCF, and the WASU and KUSU unions that actually represent not just lecturers but staff in various public universities, is leaving students right in between. You know, the Swahili have a saying that we're the grass in this particular scenario. What steps as a union are you taking to ensure that lectures are continuing as per scheduled by Kenyatta University as we speak?
So the steps we are taking, as the school is working on the timetable, I'm sure we'll have a release of the timetable very soon, which we have the calendar, which is basically for this semester. And people, what is worrying, I think most of the people, is about the calendar and how the time is going to be covered. But what we would want to remind the students is that this is usually another semester. Most of us have this as the time where we go for attachments and all that, but it's usually a semester, so it can cover the time. That has been the biggest worry for students. But on our end, what we are doing to ensure that the worry and the fear of the semester is kicked out is through actually mobilizing students. First, we want to ensure they are here, to know that indeed students are here, they've started, we've had classes which have resumed since Monday, and now the other thing we'll be hearing in a week's time or 2 weeks' time is the planning on how we are going to have our cuts.
Has that been an uphill task?
Yeah, it has, because we've been able to at least get to some people, and I believe we're going to get positive feedback. And actually, we've been really getting positive feedback from students.
Well, that's interesting. This is not the first strike that perhaps in your 4 years or whatever number of years you faced while in campus.
True.
It's one in many, if we can actually use those words. What steps should be taken, perhaps from your position as a Secretary General in Kenyatta University, should be taken by perhaps both the government and the union officials to make sure that students are not in this same predicament years and years after this particular CBA is signed, or if not signed?
I believe one of the solutions that can be given, my long-term solution that I've always thought about, and I believe that can be made even law, because I think there should be sanctions. that not every day, I do agree that indeed it's lecturers' rights to strike and demand for their rights, bearing in mind that these lecturers are our parents, and of course we would want them to get a comfortable and get what they actually have worked for or signed up for. But in any case, what can be the long-term solution is to have law or policy on how and when they can strike. I believe for police officers it has been working, so that we don't get this over and over again happening, where every day if somebody feels like going on strike, they can strike. It really has bad effects. And on the other side, on the government side, is to ensure that the stakeholders, or rather those people that serve under them, they're well catered for, to look at what they promise, for the CBA to review all these things so that we can have long-term solutions. I believe we can have also a select committee which is independent, which can be looking into affairs of, let's say, public servants and how they are paid, which is a completely independent body apart from the government, which can govern on how this pays and salary increment is conducted. Okay. With that, we'll have a solution which will last and serve the rest of even other institutions which are coming. Not every day we hear the nurses, who, and that is also destabilizing the whole country. So it's not only the students,
Not just highlighting the students, perhaps you can take a look at what the lecturers are pushing for in the CBA from 2017 to 2021. The current highest salaries right now for a professor is approximately 250,000 Kenya shillings. An assistant lecturer will take home 121,000. As part of the CBA, we've seen figures that perhaps show us that, you know, books might be the best way to go. Is pushing for the CBA, according to you, a good move despite the ripple effects that it has had in universities across the country? Also considering the fact that, you know, the MPs right now have just passed a wage bill that 700% increment in their pension might actually come into place. What's your take on that?
As I said, it is indeed their rights, and they are actually fighting for things that we can see as people that maybe they deserve. Okay. So I believe, as I was saying, there should be checks and balances and independent bodies which review salaries and budgets, so that we don't have MPs just only looking at their own interests, but we can have actually people who can lobby for these people. The only problem we are crying is that there are those people, as you've said, there's the grass now. There are those of us who are in between who are really getting affected by this. I believe that I don't know, but in my opinion, I believe there's a nicer way they can look at it, while at still there's no instability, or rather there's no group which is still being affected. So we are not saying it's not right for them to cry, because indeed, as the salaries have been mentioned, and these are the same people who coach even those MPs and all those key big stakeholders. So I believe they should be given their rights. We say give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, yes. But at the same time, we should be considered.
Definitely. I think the grass can also be called Caesar. Right?
Yeah.
Definitely. As we finish off now, we definitely appreciate the move by the Kenyatta University administration in trying to instill a normalcy within the institution in terms of the academic progression. But there have been calls, as by yesterday, by the WASU officials that this has been done in a forceful manner, that we've had administration police officers within arresting, if we're not wrong, some of the picketing union members. Is this the true matter that is happening on the ground as we speak right now at Kenyatta University?
Actually, I was there on that very date, and some of those news that we've received, or rather that I've seen, myself, I'm shocked, because some of it is a bit exaggerated. They've said that, in fact, Kenyatta University has been made to look like a military-based place. But I would like to say that is not true, because we cannot put an environment which is also not conducive for the students. I believe the management is always key in ensuring we have the best environment for our students, and who are the clients, basically. So there's nothing of that sort which is harsh, or rather maybe use of bullets or stuff like that. I believe that it's out of order.
It's simply a security measure to make sure students are safe.
Yes, which was I believe very sober, and it was not out of hand in any way.
Perhaps as we finish off, any message to the students who are watching right now and are perhaps not convinced that learning is continuing right now at Kenyatta University and perhaps in other campuses across the country. That's your camera. Perhaps in your position as a Secretary General, a message to them to actually get convinced.
Yeah, so as the school's official spokesperson, basically my message to comrades outside there who may be the small percentage who think that learning has not kicked off, I think I would just like to encourage them to get back to schools. They pack their stuff and come back as soon as possible, because we don't want them to miss on the bigger part of the semester, which will really hinder or rather interfere with the rest of the semester. So I would just kindly request them to continue coming, to confirm even from their friends and WhatsApp groups where the photos have been sent of the learning which has been taking place. Like today we've been going through the whole school. We've gone to OML classes in the higher sides of BSSC. We've seen lectures actually in class and lectures continuing. So I would like to encourage them to come back to school so that we kick off the semester and we have a smooth ride to the end of the semester. Yeah.
Well, there you have it, from the horse's mouth, if I can use that term. She is the Secretary General right here at Kenyatta University in the Student Union Board. She will be, she's actually informed us that classes are ongoing. So particular message to the students outside who are not yet convinced that learning is taking place. This was basically to inform you that it is business as usual. Your security is of utmost importance right here at Kenyatta University. Thank you so much for making time. Nice, Madhoni. It is also a pleasure meeting you. Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you're welcome over and over again. Let's just continue before you leave us set. The Nyanza Regional